Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the special commissioners meeting. If you will, if you'll join me for a moment of silent prayer, and then we will have the pledge of allegiance. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Discussion items, Mr. Miller. Payroll classifications, good.
Commissioners, before we begin this afternoon, got a couple of things that I'd like to go over. First and foremost, I think I'd like to voluntarily remove myself, or more appropriately, my position from the salary study. I'd like to do this for two reasons. First, my position is one of those positions that makes over $60,000. So I don't want that to be a point of contention for anyone. Second, my position being included in the salary study really hinders me from effectively advocating for all positions to receive only, or to receive 90% of the minimum. So after removing the county manager's position from the study, the 12 positions that would be, after removing the county manager's position from the study, the 12 positions that would be included in the study are comprised of 4 positions that did not receive one of the 2.25 cost of living adjustments the county gave a couple of years ago. 7 positions that were direct frontline employees vaccinating and testing the public at large during COVID. I just want to point out that many of these 12 positions require advanced degrees. Many of the employees are still paying off student loans they took to receive their degrees. 5 of the 12 positions require master's degrees. And those requirements are not requirements that we set. Those are requirements that are made by the state for them to hold those positions. 2 additional positions require bachelor level degrees with advanced credentialing. And I want to just go back in time a little bit. The salary study was conducted because initially the board felt uneasy about giving a COLA in the midst of COVID. We didn't know how the economy would react, so the board approved a salary study instead of an increase. This really raised the hopes and expectations of many employees. We've now completed the salary study. The study revealed inequities across many different departments, not just emergency services. The employees took the time to fill out very detailed surveys and questionnaires about their positions. Our employees have logged hundreds of hours associated with the study, not to mention the cost of the study. Now we're seeing unsettling news from across the world that has everyone worried about the economic pressures it'll bring. Some of these pressures we are already noticing. The price of gas raising $1 a gallon over the last year. Groceries on average are up 3.5% in the last year as well. The overall CPI has increased by 7.5%, as I've said many times. Our employees are feeling the effects, and many of our employees are hurting, especially those at the lower end of our salary scale. All variable amounts have been removed from the funding formula. The enterprise funds, the revenue increases, and the anticipated budget cuts have all been removed. After the level of ARPA funding needed for a 7-year period is subtracted to sustain the adjustments, there is still, at a minimum, $837,000 of available ARPA funds available. The $837,000 amount will be distributed directly into the general fund and will be available for any governmental purpose. Removing my position from the salary study and by removing the physical therapy 1 position formerly located in home health, it drops the amount needed for the 12 employees to $64,000 at 7%, or as presented today, 19%. So the difference between the 19 and the 64 is about $45,000 difference. So what you have in the packet that I've provided you today is 2022, I provided you with 1 salary study, period, 1 salary study. I've not presented you with any other options, just the lowest cost option that we spoke about, with the options that many of you have spoken about included in this proposal. So the points of approval today are: the minimum starting salary for any position would be moved to $30,000. There's a 0.5% for every year of service with that blended rate we discussed. You would bring all employees to 90% of the minimum salary recommended for their job. That's the minimum salary. You have a hiring rate, a minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. This just brings them to their minimum, or to 90% of them. There would be 7% for all employees not receiving at least 7%, and that excludes those making over 60,000. And there would be a 2% increase for all employees over 60,000. I've included several of the employees you can see that make over 60,000. The exception would be the clerk to the board. This board approves the tax director, my salary, and the clerk to the board's salary. And if you choose to approve this today, I would take it that you would have approved the tax director's increase and the clerk to the board's increase at that point in time as well. The clerk to the board does not make over 60,000. I just wanted to point out the increase that would be received there. So the second page, if you look at this page, you see there's 1 column that has no shading in that column, right? That's the column you're actually approving. So you can see the hiring rate for 90% and the hiring rate for 100%. The hiring rate for 100% is in red. The hiring rate for 90% is in green. The 90% of minimum is in green. The actual minimum, or the recommended minimum, is in red. The 90% of midpoint in green, actual midpoint, or actual midpoint in red, 90% of the midpoint in green, actual maximum in red, 90% of the maximum in green. And then the last page you have is the actual employee listing and the salaries. As I said, the county manager position receiving 2% at $18.34, you would mark that off, and you would mark under public health.
Wait a minute. I don't think, since you're the manager, I don't think you should be penalized. I think you should at least get 2% also. I feel.
I do appreciate that sentiment, but in order to move the salary study off go, and to be able to effectively advocate for the employees of the county. I'm willing to voluntarily remove my position from the salary, and if the board wants to do something with that, I would suggest the board do it at a different time. And the other one is on page, if you look at page 8, there's about halfway down the page. You see physical therapies under current classification. You'll see a physical therapy position listed at 92,202. You can remove that position too. That position was formerly located in home health.
Which one is that?
I don't think it has any numbers that one. I don't think it has any numbers.
No, I got you. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. It's this one right here. So that one. Yep, that one.
1 week.
Yep.
15.
No, yeah, yes.
That's correct.
So once again, this study is 90% of the minimum. There's a 7% minimum increase for all employees that didn't receive 7%, except those employees making more than $60,000. For those employees making more than $60,000, there would be a 2% increase.
About the $30,000 minimum.
Thank you, Commissioner Oster. All employees would be brought up to a minimum salary of $30,000.
So on this sheet, it would need to be
Well,
fixed.
I've spoken to the board before about salary compression. And this does exactly that. While I think it's an admirable and valiant effort to get every employee to $30,000, and I would love to see the board do that. Don't get me wrong by what I'm saying. But it does compress those salaries in the lower grades. But I still think it's a worthwhile effort.
So where's the $30,000 stand? Yes or no?
Yes,
So this would need to be revised, according to your plan, to a minimum of $30,000 for grades 50 through 60.
that's correct.
And that's built into the cost. Summary.
It would actually need to be, we would actually need to move to grades 50 and 51 would need to be moved differently. $30,000 still falls in the range of the minimum and the maximum for 52 on. So what you're effectively doing is moving grades, those that fall in grades 50 and 51 and 52 through maybe 50, 61, moving those grades up along through the scale, through the hiring range, instead of actually changing their grades. That's what I would suggest, because if you update the grades and have the minimum grade start at $30,000, you're effectively changing every grade down through the scale up, and that could become very costly for the county. So I would rather, if you're doing that, I would rather you move them laterally through their hiring range than adjust the scale.
Gotcha. And that basically affects 50 through 55-ish.
50 through 61. I think you had it right the first time. I'm happy to answer any questions the board has about anything. Mr. Jeffries, Commissioner Jeffries, would you like me to talk a little bit about
No, you know, I can, this 2%, I guess you guys wonder where it comes from. Somewhere I thought about this, and you know, Commissioner Owens, you said, you know, things to be fair. So I felt like, you know, my thing, you made it over $60,000, you know, that, you know, didn't get a raise, but being fair, we give them 2%. They're already there. And use this same formula that he has to bring these people on a lower grade up. And also, and I thought about it later, some people, just use that as an example, it's gonna come up over the 60,000 with this state. But I want to make it, if I had to make a motion, that I want you to understand it real good, that you go up to 60. That's where I stopped, because I don't want to be unfair to someone. And that was the ideas I had, and I actually figured the same is right. And, well, this is what I got.
So Commissioner Jeffries, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is if someone were making $59,000 and 7% took them to 62 or 63,000, you would like to see that increase, whatever percent it be, move to $60,000 and stop there.
I think it'd be 63,000. Without beating it up.
Okay.
If you do that, I wouldn't even be a 2% rate.
What are you talking about?
With just somebody's making 59,000, move to 60,000, that wouldn't even be a 2% rate.
We can make sure that those employees that fall into that level only make 2% or stop at 60,000.
That's my point. So I won't be upset. 60,000, you go on top of it, then that no problem.
Well, you look, if they make it 60,000, they get a 2% raise. I mean, that's gonna be more than where somebody making 59, get a 2% raise.
I'll just make a comment here that what we've got is surgical procedure. It's been well thought out, drafted, studied, put together. What we're doing, what we've done is apply a whole bunch of Band-Aids rather than go through the procedure. So I'm going to apply another Band-Aid. On here, the very first line on this table is county commissioners. That represents a cost of about $6,500, which is roughly 1/7 of the total of the impact of fiddling with the $60,000 range. My proposal is that the county commissioner salary not be moved up at all, not by 1/10.
So
We're
take
going to
that,
force a hardship on our employees and try to fix it. We're sure as hell not going to give ourselves a raise.
in other words, take them out of the equation entirely.
Absolutely.
The only problem I have with that is that it's hard enough as it is to find qualified people and people that are good, solid citizens to get involved in this process. And you're taking one more approach to trying to rein in financial spending. That's great. I like that. But at what cost does it affect bringing in people to fill these positions? I would a whole lot rather everybody in this room say we just won't take a salary at all this year than to affect future people coming into this role and trying to turn them on. I'd a whole lot rather see everybody that won't step up, take a sacrifice. If y'all all agree not to take a pay salary at all this year, I'll do the same thing. But I don't think we need to penalize future people that are coming into this office.
I don't think commissioners have got a raise, last 2 or 3 raises, they know they didn't last salary.
No, I mean, that's always been up to the board's discretion.
He's been one since I've been on the board, after 7 years.
Well, several years, I know that last salary study we done $250,000 commissioners, and we way behind going to other counties.
And that's the kind of common theme I hear people talking about. I've talked to several people that I would really like to have seen run for office. So man, I wouldn't go put up with that headache and that problem, and that trouble for what little they're compensated. And if you continue down that road, you're talking about salary compaction. My gosh, man, what about salary destruction? There's nothing there as an incentive to have anybody come in here and put their time and effort out there unless they just genuinely want to serve this county and are willing to sacrifice that. We need every incentive we can to get qualified people to come over here and fill these roles. If we want to have any kind of sacrifice, like I said, take it out of our own skin, but don't sell the future commissioners down the road. I'm not for that.
I think it's delusional to think that anyone would take a position as county commissioner for any amount of money. Virtually, almost everybody in this room does it in the sense of public service, along with other organizations they belong to.
Delusional is a great word, Steve.
Yes, it
It
is.
is great.
It is.
So commissioners, the one thing that I really like us to focus on today, if we could, is this salary study. I think Commissioner Dickerson asked that I go over this funding formula,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm happy to do that. So once again, this is the 90% of the salary range, 90% of the minimum with a 7% minimum. And I'll let you guys work out the details if you want to take Commissioner Jeffrey's recommendation that we do only 2% or stop at the 60,000, whatever that is. I understand exactly what Commissioner Jeffries is saying, but so the way the debt service falls off, you're looking at 1.1 million over the next 6 or 7 years. You're looking at least $100,000 in lapsed salaries every year. The detention center refinancing that was refinanced earlier in the year is $20,000. The health department home health savings of $154,000. The ARPA money that's needed to continue on, and then the far right column is the amount needed per year. So having said that, that's kind of, we took out the budget reduction because truthfully, nobody knows what the price of gas is going to do. I will inform the board that I sent out an email to the department heads today saying we're going to have a meeting Monday, and part of that meeting Monday will be to discuss restricting out-of-county travel except essential out-of-county travel. So, you know, we don't know what the future holds, but we can react to that. So the budget reduction we took out of the formula altogether, the revenue increase we took out of the, even though we're fairly certain we'll receive at least 6 or 7% at a minimum reval. We took the revenue increase out and we took the enterprise funds out. And those are the 3 areas that have been spoken about before that, that the board was concerned about.
When you said the savings, you said 154, am I looking at the wrong column?
The health department fund balance.
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong. When you said savings, you said 154.
I'm sorry, may have misspoke. The health department home health savings, the board appropriated
Right.
on average $250,000 to home health every year to keep that program running. So that's $250,000 that will not have to be appropriated moving forward. And then through the sale of home health, the health department built a fund balance, and out of that fund balance, they can pay for their department's salary increases. So there's $154,000 in each line. Give or take a little bit of money, how much home health or the health department scheduled to receive. Are there any questions I can answer for the board?
What do you have the commissioners say that?
So the commissioners,
It's on the front page,
Yes, on this front.
the very front page of that package.
so the commissioners would be scheduled, the chairman would go from receiving $8,772 per year to $10,500. That's a cost of $1,728. The regular commissioner salary of $7,704 per year would go to $8,500 a year. That's a $796 difference, or so on average, it's a 20% increase for the chairman and a 10% increase for the commissioners.
Yes. Deputy sheriff, road deputies, how many we have? 5? Let's see. Page 5. No, it's not.
It's 3.
Page 3.
And that's what you're looking for. Deputy sheriff.
5, 6, 7. 7 is when I see deputy one positions.
Still don't get them up there at $38,000.
Yeah, it gets them to $37,827.
What was the other county spending? Thought you should have been close to 4,000.
Yeah, give me a minute and let me run through this. Okay, so there's. Deputy sheriff, in Rockingham is 38,620. In person, it's 36,884. And Durham, it's 40,523. In Chatham County, it's 42,316. The average is 38,537. Caswell County current is 33,948.
Well, now, I know you got a couple of them here that puts them up to 37, is that, and the rest of them fall to 30,
Yeah,
36? Is that the one been here a while?
yes. It would be because of time and grade. That would be the difference. No, it would be because of their current salary. Their current salary is 35. Their current salary, they're paid differently currently.
To get up around 38,000, what would you have to do?
Raise your tax.
Whether you want to hire somebody and train them 6 months and they move on, it costs you more than
I got,
raising them what it needs to be. Don't come in about raising taxes.
I got a figure right here.
That's a bunch of rules.
2006,
Yeah.
pay scale. We have hope these people, we can just forget them. This is pay scale 2006 and 2007. My wife was cleaning up.
2006.
2006 and 7, we got paid.
Yeah, well, that's a
We
long
can
time
just,
ago.
we can just throw them on throw them. We give them some money. We don't have tax rates in these other counties. And we got crimes here. But this study that I thought the county manager did was pretty good. I thought my thing was to give somebody something. If you was over $60,000, give you 2%. I thought it was pretty good thing thinking there, and use the same thing. If you work up for people under 60,000. If you share, you only had one share who would pay over $60,000 in this plan. He pays $60,000. Under this plan, he got to pay $1.3.
Any other questions? If not, I'm gonna make a motion, gentlemen. Make a motion that we accept this salary increase that the county manager has placed before us, which would be the minimum starting salary of $30,000. The 0.5% for every year of service, blended rate, bring all employees to 90% of minimum salary. 7% for all employees not receiving at least 7%. Excluding those over 60,000. They're not included. And 2% for all employees over 60,000. That's my motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Parker.
I am concerned about a couple of things. Number one, about the process. Over the years, we have made salary adjustments in the middle of the year because it was a preference of some of the board members. But to me, it didn't make good budget sense. I applaud the fact that we're talking about this, but I think that at the minimum, we should wait till we get ready to do the budget before we start implementing anything. We still don't know what the economic environment is going to bring us. And personally, depending on their salaries and other things to go away, I would not vote for a salary increase of this magnitude. Thank you.
Mr. Ostrander.
I would like to ask Commissioner Owen, did you consider removing the county commissioners increase in your motion?
No. I just want
Would you
I just
consider,
want
would you consider amending your motion to include?
no, not just.
Any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor.
I second.
Yeah, we have a motion in a second. We'll do roll call voting. Mr. Dickerson? Mr. Howe?
No.
Mr. Jeffries?
Aye.
Mr. Owen? Mr. Ostriker?
Aye.
Mr. Carter? And McVeigh? Aye. Motion carries.
Commissioners, can we take a break?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Break's over with. We need a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into closed session, consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, condition of appointment, or condition of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, which privilege is hereby acknowledged by NCGS 143-318, period 11, (8), 6.
We need a second on the motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second on the floor. We'll do roll call voting. Mr. Dickerson? Mr. Hall? Mr. Jeffries? Mr. Owen? Mr. Ostriker? Mr. Carter? McVeigh? Aye. Motion carries. We now sit in closed session. We now sit back in open session.
Commissioners, the only other thing I have is with pulling all of the munis input for invoicing back into the finance department. I'm asking the board to approve one additional position for the finance department, an accounting position. It is an accountant. So this does not need to be somebody that we have to train. This needs to be somebody with a financial mind, an accountant. So I'd ask the board to approve that position.
This is in addition to what is at.
This is in addition to the staff we currently have, yes.
Right.
A county employee.
And this would be like invoice auditing?
Invoicing, yeah, running the invoices through the munis system. So the departments bring the invoices to this position. This position runs them through the munis system, makes all the appropriate checks and balances, make sure there's no conflicts. It's a true accounting position, and I'm sure there would be other duties assigned to the position as well.
Is this additional position from the one that just left?
Yes, so there's a payroll coordinator position open. Now we would be looking, if the board approves it, for a payroll coordinator and an accountant.
We also have one person out on
Maternity leave currently, yeah. But she's expected to be back.
I'll make a motion to approve the county manager.
Whoa, and stop.
Where's sign at?
Commissioner Dickerson, I think you were first.
How many years has it ran with current staffing?
Seven,
And what has changed?
munis,
And that was supposed to help streamline things.
and it will, from the department level, it will help streamline things. And it'll help streamline things, not necessarily in the finance department, but it will help streamline things overall. Commissioner Hall has said many times that we needed additional positions in accounting that were accounted positions, that knew accounting, that we needed these kind of trained people in the finance department. And I think what we're seeing is his premonition come true with more sophisticated software. We're seeing that we need additional people. Right now, the way Munis is operating is the department heads or someone in a department is entering the invoices into Munis. It's a very detailed process. Many times there are missing steps along the way, which makes the process extremely complicated. We need to bring that process back in-house. And it's not because they haven't been trained, and truthfully, it's not their fault. For this type of position, you need someone with accounting background. You need someone who knows what to look for. You need that professional person to be able to do it. You can't expect just an admin position to do an accounting job.
How much is this position going to cost us?
The salary range, we can go to the salary study.
You don't have to be exact. You know,
The salary for this position would be in the 68 range, so about 41,000 would be the minimum.
okay. How many accountant positions do we have working for the county of Cass?
Position like this, if you approve it, one.
So the answer is right now, none.
That's correct.
I don't know what kind of difficulties we might run into. I worked in the state local government and state government, and there were issues with positions reporting to lower level positions. In other words, if we have no accountant, if we hire an accountant, that accountant is going to be a higher level position than anybody in finance. And that could be a problem.
So I understand exactly what Mr. Hall is saying. Our HR department fills out charts that have to go to the state every year, but only for those agencies that have to report to DHHS folks and are covered under their human resources plans. So it's not surprising, Commissioner Hall, you have worked for the state that you would know about that. That's not necessarily the case in county government. We don't have to do that same kind of reporting on the county level, but we do have to report that for the health department DSS.
Okay. So notwithstanding that, I still think that at some point, we're going to have a problem with a classification grade reporting to a person of a lesser grade.
Well, the finance director would not be a lesser grade. And this is who that position would report directly to.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Not that your position may not be justified through the Munis system and the additional requirements it is imposing. We just approved a big expenditure on raises for the county. We've got a war going in Ukraine. We've got all these uncertainties coming down the pipe, gas out of control, prices going up. no telling what the future holds, and we have to be more mindful of adding position and spending more money than we can be able to absorb in the future, or else you're gonna wind up at some point in time saying, oops, we overspent. These people in the county gonna have to step up and pay more for taxes, and they are struggling with the same issues that we approved raises for the county employees for. They're dealing with the same inflation rates, same high gas prices, et cetera. And I want to avoid at all costs raising taxes on people in this county. So at this point in time, I cannot support adding another position.
I understand completely.
Any more questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the county manager.
Need a second?
I'll second it. Get the vote.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the county manager's request. Mr. Dickerson,
No.
Commissioner Howell,
I just want to make a comment before I vote. We didn't have any discussion after the motion was made. Again, this is something I think that at the minimum, I would consider doing budget time. Okay, I vote no.
Mr. Jeffries,
No.
Mr. Owen,
No.
Mr. Ostrager, Mr. Carter, and McVeigh. Aye. Motion did not carry.
I would agree with Commissioner Hall, though. I think we need to revisit this on budget time.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
Is there any more business? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to adjourn. Roll call voting, Commissioner Dickerson, Commissioner Howell, Commissioner Owen, Commissioner Jeffries, Commissioner Ostrager, Mr. Carter, McVeigh, aye. Motion carries. We now sit adjourned.